Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Today we're going to study Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verse number 10. Abhyasipyasamarthosi matkarma paramo bhava madartham api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi. Translation: if you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. So this is God Himself saying what He wants from us. And the first thing He says is, just surrender unto me and love me. And then He realizes, well, not everyone can do that just now. So then He says, if you can't do that, then follow the regulations of Bhakti Yoga. In brief, in summary, there are 4 main instructions to follow in the process of Bhakti Yoga, which is not eating meat, eggs or fish, and no intoxication, means no alcohol, drugs, coffee, things like that. Then no illicit sex and no gambling. Those are the 4 main regulative principles, and a certain number of rounds is called, or japa, which is chanting the holy name every day. So those are the principles of Bhakti Yoga. And God, He says, well, even that is too hard for you, then if you can't do that, why don't you try, just work for me. And if you work for me, you will come to this perfectional stage. So it's very interesting to see God Himself. He's giving spiritual knowledge, and He realizes, well, not everyone will be able to do this, so how about this? And then, well, not everyone's going to be able to do this. And He gives very mercifully several options according to where we are at. It's not that you should do this, and if you can't do this, everyone is going to go to hell. No, God is not like that. God is very merciful. He's a very kind person. So He recommends that, okay, if you can't stop smoking and you can't stop eating meat and all these things, you just can't stop, then just try to work for me. And by working for God, then we achieve this perfectional stage. Very interesting that in spiritual life, one can actually achieve perfection. In material life, one can never be perfect. And I remember many people telling me that I wanted to be good at something, and you're so perfectionist, you can never become perfect. And I always had this feeling of, well, then how can I become perfect at something? And so perfection in spiritual life means to just love God purely. And it is possible. If you've fallen in love with someone else in this world, probably that love fell apart at some point, or it was not really love. But it is possible. So we can love God, and it's not that far away from reality. I mean, it's very close to us, and that is perfection, pure love of God. So what does this work for God mean? Well, you're already doing some activities. You have a job, or you go to school, or you do something. And if you engage the results of your work, for example, you earn some money, you use that money, instead of going to the cinema to watch some materialistic movie, you use the money to buy some flowers for Krishna, or for Jesus, or whoever you consider God according to your religion, and you offer flowers, incense, items to the Lord. Or you can work by helping others who are spreading this message, supporting them, or I don't know, it doesn't have to be money. One can use time, creativity, one can do so many things for God. And the idea is that instead of thinking that, oh, I work for this man at this corporation, I work for God. Who do you work for? Oh, I work for God. That should be our mentality. Because if we work for God, then we will be elevated to the next stage of spiritual life. We will be purified, because when we work for someone, that someone is accepting the karma of our activities. If my boss says, take this or cheat in this way, sell this for this much price, and even if it's cheating, the person who has to accept most of the karma is the boss, because he's saying you do this. The servant really has no choice, he has to follow the orders. So the same way, when we work for God, God will take all our karma and we work for Him. Of course, if I'm a butcher or something nasty like that, then I should really consider changing my activities. But it's important to understand this very key point, that God is very merciful. And even if if I'm addicted to smoking or drinking or whatever, if I at least work and offer that work to God, then I will gradually achieve success. It is also important to understand that when we say give money or give service to God, it also can be done through His servants. I can, for example, go to where I live somewhere nearby and find a priest and see what kind of services I can do to help in spreading the glories of the Lord. It's important not to fall into the trap of corporations, because right now there's so many big religious organizations, and they are for the most part corrupt. So when they pass the basket, you know that I put some money. That kind of work or giving money is not very beneficial, because I don't really know how it is going to be used. It is actually better that I know exactly, if I'm giving some money, for example, I know who am I giving it to. And even better if I can use that money and create something for the Lord, to help build a temple or decorate a temple or things like that. But to avoid this corporate mentality, because it becomes impersonal. I'm giving money to the church, but then who's the church? You know, many times the leaders are behind. We cannot see what they're doing. So that is very, very disappointing when truth comes out, and then so and so is raping children and all these kinds of nonsense. So the best is to develop relationship with saintly persons, with persons who are really honest and dedicated to spiritual life, and get to meet them and interact with them, because they will elevate us by their association. That is how spiritual life works. We meet persons who are advanced, who are elevated, and we hear from them, we serve them, we exchange love and service, inquiries, and then we achieve a higher stage. In the next verse, even God continues going lower, and He says, if however you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work, and try to be self-situated. So, I mean, Krishna is like, if you can't do that, then you can go lower. If you can't even work for me, then just try to be self-situated. Not that you're always unsatisfied, that, I need this and I need this other thing, and always lamenting, you know. At least be steady within yourself, be happy with what you have. I mean, it's amazing to me to see Krishna like giving all these options, even though He has an extremely high standard of what He expects from us. And to actually see Him and interact with Him, one has to be very highly elevated. He's very merciful, and He will give all these stages. And it's not that I am very advanced and you're fallen. When, for example, a baby is learning to walk, we don't say, you're so neophyte, or you're learning to walk. No. When a baby is learning to walk, we have a good time because we see he's making progress. So that is the same vision that we should have towards other living entities who are in the same struggle and material existence, and we are all trying to get out of this and making spiritual progress. So we should not get puffed up that, I am so advanced and everyone else is in this other stage. No, we should be happy to see everyone making progress. That is the actual vision of a spiritual person, to help as many people as we can to see them making progress at whatever stage they're at. We should all make progress together. If you have any comments or questions, please visit our website, thevedicway.org. Thank you. Hare Krishna.